What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to day 3 of the Memorial Day weekend special, where we upload new car reveals back to back to back. And like I said, all 3 cars would be very, very different. We kicked it off with the 2017 Aston Martin V12 Vantage S, and then yesterday you saw we revealed the Chevy V8 swapped Porsche 944 Turbo. And now, well, it's not powered by gas. It's the cheapest electric Mercedes-Benz money can buy, and it's sitting right there. So without further ado, introducing to the channel our new 2023 Mercedes-Benz EQB250 Plus. Bam! Bet you guys didn't see that one coming, or actually you probably did see that one coming, because as you guys know, we try to catch them all when it comes to the EV Pokemon, and this is the next logical one to catch, right? We've never had an electric Mercedes. We actually passed up on our EQS allocation, and we figured, you know what, we'll get a cheaper Mercedes electric down the line. This is the cheapest electric Mercedes-Benz money can buy as of now, probably for a while. Christian, is that the window sticker there?
I do have the window sticker. Base retail price, $52,750. We certainly got a few options, and that brings the price to $58,830. But Mercedes-Benz, this whole EV tax credit thing is kind of hard to understand, kind of hard to keep track of, but Mercedes-Benz realizes that they're at a disadvantage not being built in the US, and so they extended $7,500 discount.
And then on top of the $7,500, we got an additional $1,000 off. I don't remember exactly what it was for. Puts us at a total of, okay, yeah, basically a hair over $50,000. So that's cheap when you're considering electric. You never have to buy gas. You never have to do any maintenance. You get, do we get some free charging with this Mercedes? No, I don't think this one has free Electrify America, but still 50 grand for a Mercedes SUV electric. I mean, that on paper sounds pretty darn good, but in this video, we're gonna explain why it's not all it's made out to be. Of course, the planes are always ruining my audio. Be sure to check out our plane channel, JR Aviation. Just picked up 2 new planes. They're being revealed right now, so go subscribe if you haven't already.
How about electric planes?
Yeah, that'll be the day when we get an electric airplane. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so where do we begin? Basically, in this video, we're gonna talk about the things we like, the things we dislike, our first impressions. It's not really our first impressions because we have, what, 4,000 miles on the car? We drove this thing back from Montana, huge road trip, so we already have a lot of seat time in it. We have the right to talk about the things that we like and dislike. We're not just some, you know, reviewer channel that got it for an hour and they're trying to come to conclusions. Like, no, we've had it for a while. We're owners of it, and we can be critical where we want because we don't have Mercedes-Benz, you know, press breathing down our backs, giving us the car expecting a good review, right? We own it, so we can say what we think.
Even though, wouldn't you take like a AMG Project 1 or something from Mercedes Press?
Please, at the same time, Mercedes Press, if you're watching this video, please hook us up with some press cards. But no, overall,
it's all right.
It's all right, which is unfortunate. I wanted to love this thing. I wanted this thing to be like, guys, the EQB is the best kept secret. You need to get one of these over a Model Y. Like, there's no question about it. But unfortunately, we can't say that after owning it.
Yeah, these EVs who are trying to just hit the middle sweet spot are up against a lot of competition. In my eyes, you either got to be like the cheapest or you got to be the best.
The price matters. If it's super cheap, you expect some things to be wrong with it. The ID4, there's plenty we dislike about that car, but overall, we really like it because of the price. It's about the cheapest electric SUV you can get in its class. It has its faults, but for like 30-something grand, like, you can't lose. Again, I'm not sure if there's still that with the tax credit incentive stuff, but when we got ours, it was in the 30s, which is like a no-brainer. But this now in the 50s, even after the tax credit, that's a lot of dough, and I nearly like the ID4 better.
Yeah, I feel like cheap EVs are a really good way to go because it seems like they'll hold their value so well.
Yeah, they don't depreciate very much compared to like something like the Lucid that has the potential to depreciate tens of thousands of dollars. So that was a risky play, us getting that. But this, right, being the cheapest Mercedes, it's always gonna have a market. There's always gonna be a buyer. So we felt safe getting it. But of course, we didn't test drive it. We didn't experience it before we put the money down. And now part of me wishes we did because let's get into the things we don't like.
But first, something that we love is a sponsor of today's video, Lectron EV Accessories. So if you are in the market for an EV, I need to let you in on a secret, and that is that not all EVs come with chargers. And certainly not all EVs come with the adapters that will really save your butt in a pinch. And Lectron makes all the EV accessories that you could ever need. So if you just got an EV, or if you've been running around your Tesla, definitely need to have these 3 things will set you up really right. And so first, I actually love talking about this thing. Just over $100. It is a Tesla to J1772 adapter. So if you're on the road and you're staying at a hotel, and maybe that hotel has a Tesla destination charger, but you are in your non-Tesla EV, then this will plug into the Tesla destination and charge you up. We now have one of these in every single car. Some electric cars do not come with chargers. EQB being the best example today, and this is one of the best mobile chargers because it has dual voltage. In the Volkswagen ID4, you only get a 110 volt charger that comes with the car. But this charger can do both 110 and 220, so dual voltage, and that's really important so you can plug into a normal wall, or if you're at a campground, plug in there too. And then lastly, the granddaddy of them all, the home charger. This puppy goes all the way up to 48 amps. If you have the means to set up a charger in your own home, that's the best way to go. Full charge every night, permanently on your wall. You don't have to take it in and out of your trunk. So please support those who support us. Check out Lectron with the links down below. They are your one-stop shop for all your EV charging accessories. Now back to the EQB.
Like I said earlier in this video, we're gonna mention about 10 things we like, 10 things we dislike, and we're gonna try to get through them quickly because I don't want this video to be an hour long and it gets dark in 45 minutes. So let's get to it. Number 1, this might be a tall person thing. I'm 6'6", Christian's tall too. The seats are not the most comfortable thing. I have struggled to get a comfortable seating position. Front's okay, middle row is not good, and then the back is why'd we get a 3rd row in the first place? But anyway, the seat bottoms are a little narrow. So when you get in, you're kind of I swear on some of the other electric cars, the seat goes up to here. This one's kind of just short. The thigh support doesn't go up very high. Something like the ID4, I can easily get a nice seating position and be very comfy, but this, I've never really felt comfy. But the bigger problem is back here. I'm telling you, these seats are bad. Look at how flat they are. They nearly point down. Most cars obviously have a slight pitch up so that you kind of slide into them and are comfy and positioned nicely and supported. Whereas these, it's just, oh gosh. Okay, so this is a comfy seating position for me up here, right? What the heck? This is bad. I feel like I'm sitting so high, and there's no electric motor down here. It's front wheel drive. They should have extra room for it to be extra comfy. And here it feels like I'm sitting so high. Not good for tall people, maybe a kid, but this was really upsetting to me.
Yeah, I feel like plenty of sedans are better, and it's not just really a taste thing. I think that it's because batteries are below the seat, not just in the floorboard.
And I'm pretty sure this is with the seat all the way back. There's a little bar down here. Yeah, that's all the way back. It only goes forward from here. What the heck? Okay, granted I'm tall, but that's all the way back, and they don't go up or down or anything. Look at my legs. Just there's so much of a gap here. I'm hardly getting any material. It's just not comfortable. I haven't even tried the back. I have not sat in the back. Do you want to put them up? Okay, we've only put the 3rd row up once, and that was when we had to take 6 people somewhere. So while Christian's doing that, let's talk about some more things I dislike. Number 2, like we hinted at, the range. It's not good. And to think this is the most efficient EQB you could buy with the front wheel drive, the lowest horsepower, this should have a great range, right? And it's Mercedes. The EQS has a massive range. The EQB must have a good range. No, it's not good. Best case, you're getting 250, but real world, probably more 210, 220, 230. Our trip for the last, what, 3,000 or 4,000 miles on average. Check this out. Another thing I dislike, the stupid start-stop button. Golly, at least you can walk away and just lock it without having to turn it off like the Lightning and some other EVs. But still, this should not be on here. Your foot is the start button on the brake pedal. Do it like Lucid, do it like Tesla. It's not hard. That's another pet peeve. But anyway, look at this. So 3,500 miles on the car, and we've averaged 3 miles per kilowatt over that entire distance. That's bad because it's a 70 kilowatt battery pack. So that means 200 210, oh lordy, what has he done back there? 210 miles that equates to, and that is not good. The equivalent Model Y is what, over 300 mile range? Very frustrating. That alone is probably enough to make me want to go back in time and not buy this thing. The range is frustrating, especially when they don't have the Tesla supercharging infrastructure to charge it up quickly, efficiently, easily. Electrify America still needs some work, and they need to pick up their game to make charging easier for the non-Tesla EVs. Oh gosh, you're kidding. Hello. So with you back there in that position, the seat has to be all the way up, and now it's unusable for me. As you guys see, this is not a true 7-seater, but we knew that going into it. We simply wanted them for, I don't know, why'd we get the 7-seater? I guess because we thought it was cool and it would make it more unique.
There's USB-C chargers back here for the third row, so I could spend some time here.
Yeah, you could spend some time there. Like that, you look real comfy. Okay, there's the third row. Jeez, put your headrest down. I see, yeah, you lose back room with it down.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's not great, but I mean, it wasn't supposed to be great. This is a small little SUV. It's meant to have 5 seats, not 7. But we wanted to try out the option. It was only $1,500. So if you need 7 seats and your occupants are small children, it might work. So yeah, looking back, maybe we shouldn't have optioned it with a third row. But then again, like I said, $1,500 and you can just fold them down and forget about it and use them in an emergency. So I'm not too mad about it. Another small gripe is that you don't have a front trunk, whereas you do on a Tesla and other EVs. Instead, you have the front wheel drive electric motor and all the electronics up here.
At least you can kind of service things, unlike the Mercedes EQS, where all you get is a window washer fluid fill.
Speaking of that, we needed that because on the road trip back from Montana, we started getting these error messages saying like system overheating, like check coolant level and all this stuff. And we're like, what the heck? We just bought this thing like 2 days ago. Are you kidding me? Turns out the coolant bottle was like low. So we literally had to add coolant to a brand new car that was 2 days old. Kind of weird, hasn't come back the warning, but good example of why it's actually nice that you can work on your electric car. Do most people use the front trunk when they have it? Probably not, but it's nice to have some extra space there when you need the storage. So that you miss out on the EQB. We have a few more things that we dislike, but we got to demonstrate those while we're driving. So while he's buttoning things up back there, let's talk about a few things I do like. We're trying to be fair. You know, I'm sure we can make whole separate videos of 10 things we like, 10 things we don't like, but we get that a lot of viewers here are here for the gas cars, the Porsches, the V12s, the crazy twin turbo modded cars, not the electric car vehicles. But we always like to sprinkle them in because we know you guys do enjoy them overall, and you got to see where the future is headed and what cars are on the market. And if you are thinking about buying one, then we hope our videos can bring you some insight on which ones to get or which ones to avoid, or tips and tricks while owning them, etc. So you got to admit, the infotainment is pretty sweet, especially compared to something like the ID4, which is absolute garbage.
Yes. It's got this cool touchpad, trackpad, mouse thing in the middle here. I'm pretty impressed without having a cursor to use a trackpad and have it be able to do exactly what you want it to do. Is pretty good. We probably haven't even messed with half of the features that this car has to offer, but we're getting the hang of it, and overall it's pretty intuitive. I like it. The screen is super cool, gives it a nice modern look. I love the air vents, I love the ambient lighting. Overall, the fit and finish is really nice on this car, which is what you would expect of Mercedes. I love all the brushed aluminum pieces and this cool, it's not carbon fiber, but it kind of has this neat design going on. The seat controls, the steering wheel I think is very nice with all the buttons. There is a lot of piano black going on, so keeping this clean is definitely gonna be a pain, but overall, I think you get more than you pay for in terms of fit and finish. No, it's not some $150,000 S-Class interior, but for the money, I think it's really good, and it definitely beats Tesla. Beats Tesla though is a personal preference because I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't need all these little plastic doodads and extra try-hard stuff. I think less is more. Oh man, I was about to open up the sunroof shade like there is on the ID4, on the Lightning, Mach-E glass roof on all these things, and this one doesn't have it. True, for the money you pay, it would have been nice to get a, glass panoramic roof, but I'm sure on the higher trim models it has. Remember, there's 2 trims higher than this. I'm kind of glad we went with the cheapest one. I definitely wouldn't have wanted to drop 75 grand on like the top of the line, 350, all-wheel drive, bigger horsepower. Again, it still wouldn't be the quickest thing. That's a lot of money, and the range is, get this, even worse because you have all-wheel drive, more horsepower, another motor, so it chews through the battery. Yeah, I felt like this one was kind of done all the way up. I don't really think I'm missing anything. If you are in the market for an EQB, I would probably recommend the 250. Hang on, before you leave. Jeez. The brakes.
That's another thing. Okay, well, that's a great demonstration of probably my biggest dislike. We were gonna demonstrate it out on the road, and he inadvertently did it right there. Mercedes-Benz, if you're watching this video, the brakes on this car absolutely suck. They screwed up the braking system on this car. And I would even go as far as to say it's somewhat dangerous at times, and it could be a safety hazard. Let us explain. Okay, like you just did there.
It did catch me off guard sometimes. I have noticed that. Even when I'm driving it all day long, it'll come up on me like some point later in the day.
He mentioned the key part right there. It changes throughout the day. It's the weirdest thing. You'll be driving and it'll be normal, just like a normal car, a normal brake pedal. And then you're driving, you go to press the same amount of pressure and your eyeballs go through the windshield. And then the next time you drive, you have to give it so much brake pressure for the car to stop. The feedback you get from the brake pedal and the actual application of the brakes somehow changes. And even if you want to argue that it doesn't change, it sucks. I don't care. The amount of times I've by accidentally slammed on the brakes and the amount of times I've nearly rear-ended somebody because I go to push the brakes and then I gotta push a lot more, it's whack. That's the number one thing I dislike about this car. Again, I think it's a safety issue. I hope it can be updated by Mercedes. It's terrible. Go watch other reviews. I've heard other people mention it. It's not just us. For Pete's sake, the ID4 has drum brakes in the back and it's a better brake pedal feel. Like, give me a break. No pun intended. And going off that, we need to mention the next thing we dislike. It's similar, it's related to slowing down, and that is the regen. It is nice that they give you multiple levels of regen and that you can override, and that you can make the regen stronger by pulling the left paddle. See the minus? I feel like it should almost be a plus given that you're like adding regen, but I guess the minus slows your speed quicker. So see, now it says D-, and that's the max level of regen. The problem is, it doesn't stay that way when you set it.
Yeah, like many cars, I think our Ioniq 5 was the same thing. It could give you some really strong regen, which was fantastic, we loved it, but you had to put it into that I-pedal mode every time you start up the car. For daily driving, you want max regen, and it's annoying to have to remember to kick it in every single time. Otherwise, you're turning out of your neighborhood like you do every single morning. You come off the throttle and you keep going and you don't expect to, and you end up blowing through stop signs all the time.
That probably also contributes to the weird braking, is that the fact you got to reset it every time and you always forget. I hate that. Whereas the Lucid, a great example of how a company should do it. You should have the ability to change the amount of regen. Some people like a lot, some people like a little, some people like it controlled through the brake pedal, some people like one pedal driving. We personally, along with a lot of other people, like the most amount of regen because it helps getting the most amount of range. But it needs to stay that way. If you set it, then you should be able to forget it. Like the Lucid, like the Tesla. I want it to default to that every time. This setup is annoying. Speaking of the one pedal driving, this car doesn't have it. Really frustrating. Sure, you get a lot of regen when you release the throttle, but look, it stays rolling. It only goes to 4 miles an hour. It doesn't take you to 0. So you have to then put brake pedal to come to a complete stop.
So you cannot get away from the brake pedal as we sometimes wish we could.
This shouldn't be a complaint anymore. There shouldn't be the need to use the brake pedal pretty much ever when driving an electric car. It should all be done through the gas pedal. One pedal driving, goes to a full stop. It's not that hard. Mercedes-Benz, please release an update enabling that.
Maybe these legacy car manufacturers want test drives to feel like normal for somebody who's transitioning into the car, and they want it to not have some crazy regen, because yeah, when we give somebody the keys to our Tesla or something and it's on strong regen, or the Lucid, they're like, whoa, this is so weird, this is so different, I don't know if I like that. Give it a couple days. You and everybody will always want one pedal driving when you own your EV. While we're here at a stop and we have open road ahead of us, let's feel the acceleration of this car.
Which is another thing that we kind of dislike, because watch this.
I don't even have to prepare you guys for anything exciting because
35. That was terrible. In the Lucid, we'd be at 80 by now. It's just, again, we bought the base model. We bought the one with under 200 horsepower. We bought the quote unquote slow one. So we weren't expecting some Tesla Plaid, but we expected similar performance that our ID4 provides, if not a little bit better, because this one on paper had better numbers. No, it's a little bit worse. And honestly, it's a little slow.
I wonder if it's because the ID4 might be lighter. It certainly feels lighter. The ID4 just doesn't feel as rock solid as this car does. So maybe some weight goes a long ways in perceived quality.
But again, keep in mind, if you're coming from any other normal car, this will feel pretty quick because it's got that instant EV torque punch to it. But just overall for an electric vehicle, it's pretty slow. We're in normal mode. Put this bad boy to sport mode. Maybe that's all the difference.
Oh,
maybe this vehicle. Oh, is it that? I don't think so. Here. Where is sport mode? It should be a simple button. Man, we're still learning the system, but honestly, some things are pretty buried and hard to find. Whereas overall, the Tesla infotainment, even though it's more minimalistic and simple, and some people don't like that, I actually do prefer it. I would totally take a Tesla infotainment over this. So even though, yes, it is nice and it's a big step up from some of the competition, overall, I would still take the Tesla. Did you find it?
Is it this C? So this C says we're in comfort mode right now?
Yeah, how do we adjust this? I found it, it's just this toggle switch. Here we go. Wait, individual. Doesn't even have, oh, sport. Sport, okay, let's try that again.
I like that the Windows has 4 switches and they're all one touch versus the ID4 has 2 window switches for 4 windows.
We're talking to you, Volkswagen, that's whack. So as we do this next acceleration, listen closely and watch the steering wheel. You'll see some torque steer. If you've never driven a higher horsepower front wheel drive car, you probably wouldn't have ever experienced torque steer, but it's just like it sounds. The torquiness of the engine, or the front motor in this case, like pulls you and it steers the wheel as it fights for traction. So I've noticed it anytime you're not perfectly straight, maybe turning and you gotta like accelerate quick because traffic's coming, it'll start to cut power because you're losing traction and it's turning into traction control, and that torque steer is kind of robbing you of some power. So
power that's already not there.
Yes, power that's already not there. So if you're in a sticky situation where you really got to punch it, and here you're fighting the wheel and fighting to get that 100 and something horsepower down to the ground, it could be a problem. So I'm gonna put that under the things we dislike. But of course, if you get the all-wheel drive version, it wouldn't be a problem.
It's not like these tires are super thin or anything like a BMW i3 or something. They're plenty meaty. So.
Right.
Well, let's see the straightaway with no hands on the wheel.
Okay, see, it does all right.
That was slow. This is sport mode? I think that was even slower.
Actually, yeah,
comfort.
That did feel really slow. And this isn't like 0 charge, we're half charge. And it, okay, so you guys heard it there a little, but you can feel it through the wheel, right? Of course, this is hot pavement, hot tires now that we've been driving it in Arizona, but especially if you're in a colder climate with colder tires, you'll really notice it. Odd feeling, especially for an electric, especially for a Mercedes-Benz. There we go, 100% power. Oh man, we still barely went over the speed limit. That's enough of us hating on the acceleration, Christian. I can already hear the comments coming.
You guys are the stupid ones buying the base car with the slow horsepower.
We're just putting it out there. We got what we expected, just slightly less than we expected. A few more things that we like. Again, we have 3,500 miles on the car. We took it on a 1,000 mile road trip. Overall, the road noise and the ride is very nice and above what we were expecting.
I'd say just what we were hoping for out of a Mercedes, $60,000 Mercedes.
Okay, fair enough. It lives up to the brand, that's for sure. But the Tesla and the ID4 definitely have more road noise. So if that's something you're big on, Mercedes does have some good sound deadening. Maybe some of that carries over from the gas counterpart that this car was, you know, adopted from. Oh, and another thing I like, the speaker setup, the sound system. What is this, Christian? What is this logo? Geez, I don't even know that one. A little squiggly S thing. Is that like Fender or something? Not sure, but it sounds great. The ID4, once again, just like the infotainment, absolute garbage for the sound system. This, very nice. Tesla, I think, is still the best, but this is a close second in my opinion. Actually, Lucid might be up at the top as well. While he's looking for the sound system name, let's talk about styling. I think this goes under one of the things I like about the car. Now, of course, this isn't some jaw-dropping, electric, modern, futuristic SUV. Granted, it's hard for any SUV to look sensational. I think Mercedes did a really good job cleaning up the gas version of this car and making it look quite modern, fresh, and new. It's a small departure from the internal combustion engine design, but I think they did some tasteful updates to it. Obviously, no rear exhaust pipes, so they had to clean up the rear end here. They just kind of smoothed out the lines. I love this bar that goes all the way across. With it being such a boxy look, it actually does give decent headroom for the second and perhaps the third row. Again, I haven't even sat back there, but it's better than sloping off. You know, so many cars nowadays, the SUVs are just cut off in order to look better. But my opinion, if you're getting an SUV to haul people around, you want that headroom and a taller roof line. So I think they did a good job dealing with that. This car doesn't blow me away, but I think it's a tasteful, nice looking car.
They're apparently not proud of their sound system. They don't list a 10, 20 speaker, 1000 amplifier, whatever system, but it still sounds fine. The upgraded wheels are nice. I like this kind of blue, electric blue thing that they do with their electric vehicles. Overall, I am not getting what we were expecting out of this Mercedes.
It almost seems like a slight afterthought, almost like they were rushed to put this thing together. So they're like, here, let's just take the gas version and then just rip out the engine and plop in an electric motor and hope that nobody notices.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they weren't super proud of it because they haven't really been marketing it. We only knew it because we follow all the latest EV stuff to share with you all, but I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have not ever heard of a Mercedes EQB. Of course, everybody heard about the EQS, amazing flagship electric Mercedes, gonna crush everything else. 500 miles range, okay, 400, okay, like 340 miles of range it finally came out with, which is kind of why we canceled our order on it. The rear headroom sucked, the rear room in general. It did not really feel like an S-Class. I don't know if it really was built on an S-Class chassis, but it was certainly not a Lucid Air or a Rolls-Royce or an S-Class.
Super similar to this. I'm having flashbacks. I remember sitting in the EQS all excited about to order it, and then I sat in it, I'm like, no, I don't fit. I'm rubbing my head, and I was expecting greatness, and it was not good. And here, it's the exact same feeling. The base of the seats are super short, and you feel elevated, just like the EQS. Oh no, they share that in common. Both poor comfort in the rear, in our opinion. Maybe it's just being tall, but sit in one yourself and be sure to comment down below and let us know.
So overall, if you're in the market, you're thinking a Mercedes, that's great. I'm coming from my other Mercedes, it's gonna be fantastic, versus a weird, quirky Hyundai Ioniq 5 or a Volkswagen ID4 or truly a Tesla, Rivian, a Lucid that is ground up electric. Am I gonna like this thing or not? You might be pleasantly surprised.
I want to say that the EQB strikes me as a car that's a good transition for somebody who's very scared of electric. This car is probably great for the person that doesn't like a big departure from what they're used to. I could see, you know, the 60, 70-year-old boomers, you're allowed to say that, being all over a car like this. You know, it's familiar enough to what they're used to with the Mercedes brand, and it's not a huge departure. Kind of like the F-150 Lightning. Ford could not risk taking a massive departure on the truck that millions of people have loved, enjoyed, and driven over the last many decades, right? But it was a nice step toward electrification. That's how I kind of feel that this one is. It's a small step, and we would have liked to see a bigger step, that's for sure.
But I promise you, make the jump and you will be more happy. Make the jump to a 300, 400 mile range car. You will be happier than this 230, 240, whatever miles of range. It'll be an easier transition with a truly fantastic electric car.
Go watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Go test drive a bunch of electric cars. Don't just take our word for this. Go out there in person and see what you like or dislike about the various cars. That's the beauty of electric cars. There are so many coming onto the market. Competition is a good thing. They are constantly one-upping each other to get better and better and better, and there is so much advancements, so much new technology coming out in these cars. So see what floats your boat.
And you finally can take some of these cars for a test drive. 2 years ago, you couldn't get your hands on a Tesla on the showroom floor or any of these cars out on the lot. But now you can, and hit us up if you're ever traveling to the Scottsdale area. We make all of our EVs available for rental. We will give you a thorough ownership experience and share all of the comparison with all the other electric cars that we've had.
The other manufacturers have got to step up their game if they want to take some of Tesla's lunch. Call me crazy, but a Tesla from 6 years ago, literally the first Model 3, is still better than so many electric cars coming out onto the market right now. But my final closing statement on this, so if you're in the market for a 7-seat electric car for less than $60,000, you happen to like the Mercedes or German build quality brand name, and you hate Elon Musk or Tesla, then this is the car for you.
I would still get a Model Y 3-row.
Geez, if you don't like Tesla or Elon Musk. So if that's you, this is the car for you. But if you're not in that boat, you're probably gonna have other better options. That's my final closing statement.
My slogan of anybody who asks me in person when we do make these cars available for rental and we're talking, just get a Tesla. Good night.